But of course, you should have known. Why on earth should I have known? I've always trusted you. Always. But I lived with Jason. He was my friend. One of our best friends. He just lost his wife. Why would I think you were making love to him? I didn't make love to him. I comforted him. I've been studying. He needed someone to take care of him. He needed comfort. He needed a physical touch to help with emotional healing. So hold his hand. Give him a hug. Not when you're married to me. He was devastated. He's your best friend. My heart was breaking for him. So you made love to him. I was comforting him. Don't make it sound so tasteless. This is tasteless. I can't believe you. I can't believe you. Just get out. Get out of this fucking house. I'm not leaving. I won't be able to explain to you what happened if I'm not here with you. You've already explained everything. Now I have to decide what to do about it. So pack up your shit and get out of this house, or God help me, I'll throw you out. Patrick, you're overreacting. There's nothing to be upset about. A good friend was in need. All I did was help him through a difficult time. By using it. Stop saying that. He was in pain. I did everything I could to make it easier. By using it. Stop it. Stop it. I did something good, and you're trying to belittle it. Get out. I'm going out for a snack, and when I come back in an hour, you'd better leave. She didn't disappear. I entered our house from the garage, and she was sitting at the kitchen table. Have you scratched your crazy ego enough? Are you ready to talk about this in an adult way? I glowered at her and walked past her, going up the stairs to our bedroom. I saw that she didn't make any effort to pack any bags or even put her things together. Good. If she's not going to leave, then I will. I won't stay in the same house with her for a minute longer than necessary. I took 3 suitcases out of the attic and started stuffing clothes into them. I was trying to hurry up, albeit sloppily, so I was almost done when Marlene came to get me. What are you doing, Patrick? Address with the full name. She's been making love to our friend for 3 weeks, and I'm the one behaving badly. Unbelievable. What is unclear? If you don't want to leave, I'll leave. Please don't leave. We have to get through this together. I ignored her, stuffing in the last clothes that would fit. I went to the main bathroom and immediately gathered my toiletries. Patrick, you are welcome. You're being ridiculous. Stop acting like a naughty child. No one stole your toys. No, I growled. You gave that fucking asshole a lot more than my fucking toys. I love you, Patty. You know that. But I don't belong to you. Jason needed someone to share his grief, and I was there. He's our friend. It doesn't mean anything to us, to our marriage. He will never be my friend again. And that means everything, thanks to our marriage. I zipped up the last bag. I grabbed 2 suitcases and put them in the trunk of my car. Marlene followed me down the stairs, talking the whole time. Patty, please. Stop this nonsense. I can see that your ego is hurt, but in fact it was nothing. I was just helping a friend. He's one of your best friends. He was. He's dead to me now. Just as dead as his late wife, Sarah. That stopped her for a while. I've known Jason since we were 12, when his family moved next door to ours. He was an old friend of mine and one of the 3 guys I usually counted on in any situation. But this betrayal put an end to everything. Please slow down, Patty. Talk to me. Let me explain. She followed me to the office. I was packing my desk, and she was leaning against hers against the opposite wall. You've already made it clear enough. There's nothing more to explain. He was sad. You used him. I'm leaving you. Please, Patty. Don't go away. Stay here. We always discussed everything. We're going to expand the family. We have so much ahead of us. There is no need for this drama. Everything will be fine. You'll see. You love me. I love you. My feelings for you haven't changed a bit. I closed my backpack and looked her straight in the eye. But my feelings for you have changed. Goodbye, Marlene. My lawyer will contact you. She gasped when I came out. The avalanche of calls and messages began as soon as I drove away from home. I deleted everything from Marlene without reading or listening. I went to the gym to release some of the bubbling energy. It helped, but not enough. After taking a shower and clearing my phone of Marlene's latest messages, I checked into a motel near work. I wasn't worried about unwanted visitors. However, my phone was buzzing constantly, so after another couple of hours, I finally blocked Marlene's number. My relief was short-lived. Calls started coming from my parents and my sister. These conversations were short. What's going on, Patty? Marlene called and said you dumped her. Did she tell you why? No, you were just upset. You know that every marriage has its rough edges, Patty. You have to stick together and work on them. She made love to Jason for 3 weeks. What? She made love to Jason for 3 weeks. To help him overcome his grief. But this, it doesn't make any sense at all. Are you sure? She told me. Oh, you must have misheard. This can't be happening. It's just a misunderstanding. You need to figure this out with her. She's your wife, darling. Goodbye, Mom. I had almost the same conversation with Carly. Obviously, Marlene's infidelity was my problem, not hers, at least according to my family. I must have missed the part of Florence Nightingale's story where she used all her patients to restore them to health. I bought a sandwich and salad from Whole Foods and ate them in my motel room while watching the game. I couldn't tell you anything about the food or the game. At some point, my phone rang. It was Jason. Fuck you, asshole. Don't ever talk to me again. I hung up before he could say a word. Then I blocked his number too. The next day wasn't much better. Marlene was using her friends' phones, so I just started blocking those numbers when she was using them. I deleted voice messages as soon as I heard they were from her, or from friends calling on her behalf. Her messages showed her growing frustration. Talk to me, Patty. You are welcome. Come home and talk to me. We need 2 conversations, honey. Call me. I'm worried about you. Nothing special. Talk to me. Call me. Stop this nonsense and come home. Damn it, Patty. Call me. The time between messages and calls was lengthening, so either it was getting harder for her to find phones, or she realized that I wasn't going to answer. I was watching the game, and I couldn't remember what I was eating, or if he ate it all. I remember going outside to get some fresh air, but it was cloudy with a rare rain, so I didn't stay outside for long. Monday came right on schedule, and I got to work. I'm reviewing insurance claims. It's not very exciting, but it needs to be done, and my reviews say I'm pretty good at it. Besides, they pay quite well for it. The first thing I did was meet with my boss and tell him that Marlene and I had broken up, so I would need some time during the day to sort things out. He said it was fine, but he expected me to stay late to finish the job. That was fine with me. What else could I do? Marlene called 10 minutes after I sat down at my desk. I recognized the number, but I had to answer the phone as part of my job, and I knew she was rampant when it came to using the phone. What do you want, Marlene? Thank God. Patty, please come home. I love you and miss you so much. We need to talk. No, you don't need to. You've said everything I wanted to hear on this issue. You just don't understand. It didn't mean anything. I really understand. And that's it. You've made your position very clear. And I think I was just as clear about mine. So let's just move on. Oh, thank you, darling. I'm so glad to hear you say that. What time will you be home tonight? I have everything I need to make lasagna. Could you buy a bottle of good wine on the way home? I'm not coming home, Marlene. When I say move on, I mean divorce. Infidelity for me is a deal breaker. No, you can't divorce me. I love you. And I know that you love me. Come home so we can talk. You are welcome. I could hear her crying. We have nothing to talk about, Marlene. It's as simple as possible. We have opposite points of view on the central issue of our marriage. And now I have to get back to work. You know how Will feels about personal calls at work. Don't hang up on me. We need to talk. If you hang up, I'll call you right back. And I'm going to keep calling until you agree to meet with me to solve this whole case. Heck, she had leverage here, so I agreed. I won't go home, but I'll meet you at Julia's at 6:30. Thank you, Patty. Thank you. I love you. I'll see you there. I just hung up the phone. The rest of the day sucked. I went to the bank and split our joint accounts. I called our credit cards, but I couldn't close them until we paid them off. However, I asked to lower the credit limits. I called our HR department and changed the beneficiaries in my insurance policy and 401k account. We'll have to sort out the house later. It was mine before the wedding. But Marlene made a big contribution to the mortgage payments. Thank God we didn't have any children to worry about. I was careful and took enough time to leave work and be in Julia by the appointed time. When I parked, I saw Marlene's car. Just as well. I don't believe in nonsense about capturing heights and controlling the battlefield, unless you're fighting a real battle. And such things, You say what you mean and let the cards fall where they can. I found her quite easily and sat down opposite her without saying hello. Marlene smiled at me, but without much confidence. Hi, honey. I'm glad you decided to come. I want to put all this behind me so you can come home. I just stared at her. Her smile faded a little, but she was in the game. I'm sorry you're hurting, but it really wasn't a big deal. I don't like Jason. He needed me, and I was there for him. As a friend. As a friend who used it for 3 weeks. Please stop, Patty. It doesn't really help our situation. Obviously, I'm the first guy in history to be cuckolded by a more pathetic man. Do you know how I feel about it? She sighed. You're not pathetic. I love you. Only you. I miss you. I need you. Please come home. You made love to Jason. Within 3 weeks. Maybe you should ask him to come home. I don't love Jason, but you made love to him. 3 weeks. She clenched her teeth tightly, and her eyes bulged from their sockets with tension. Please, just stop, Patty. I see you're in a lot of pain. I thought you loved me and loved Jason enough to realize that it was just kindness. There was no passion, no love. I comforted him. That's all. You used him. Damn it, Patty. Is that all you're going to say? I'm trying to explain what happened, and you're just being stubborn. It didn't mean anything. Then why did you do it, Marlene? If it didn't mean anything? It brought her to her feet. Darling, I know you feel that it was wrong. I'm not defending myself. I see the pain in your eyes. I hurt you, and I'm so sorry. I was just being compassionate. I thought you'd understand. But we can put it in the past. We can go back to how it was. Just give me a chance, and I'll prove it to you. I'll do anything to make it up to you. It's too late. There are things you can't take back. Marlene tried to grab my arm, but I pulled my hands away. Her disappointment manifested itself in a sharp intake of breath. Talk to me, Patty. Please tell me what I can do. You are welcome. We need to fix this. Sign the papers when you are served. She didn't sign the papers. Instead, she filed a counter-complaint, challenging everything in my petition and adding a request for relationship counseling. I resisted, but the judge ruled in favor of the consultation. So late on Tuesday evening, I sat next to Marlene in front of Joanna DeMillo, MFD. What would you like to achieve during your time here, Patrick? I want to do everything that will speed up the divorce. HM. So you're not interested in saving your marriage? I don't have a marriage. She violated the terms by invalidating them. Now we just have to make it official. Marlene, I take it you have another goal? Marlene was already crying. I just want this nightmare to end. I want Patty to come home where he belongs. I want my husband to come back to our house, back to our bed. I miss him so much. As far as I understand, the problem is that you made love to your friend for 3 weeks when he was grieving the loss of his wife. Is that true? Yes. Patty and I went to the funeral, and I took some more free time to help Jason around the house. Patty left because he had to go to work. Jason was so lost, so depressed. I started just holding him while he cried, but pretty soon he started clinging to me, then kissing, then caressing. A couple of days later, we slept together. I don't love him and I never have. It was just kindness towards a good friend who suffered so much. And you haven't discussed this with Patrick? I did it as soon as I got back from St. Louis. I told him what happened. And what did you expect his reaction to be? I thought he would understand. Jason has been Patty's friend since they were kids. He saw how sad Jason was at the funeral. I thought Patty would understand that I was just helping Jason deal with his grief. Marlene sobbed and wiped her nose. It didn't mean anything. Patrick seems to see it differently. Would you like to tell me more about your feelings, Patrick? This should be the only thing that exists between us, and that belongs only to us. That's how we find out that we are completely devoted to each other. But I told you I don't love anyone else. Since the day we met, my heart has always belonged only to you. Prove it. What do you mean, prove it? You know it's true. You know it. How do I know that you love me? I tell you this every day. Words come easily. Actions show the truth. I do 100 things for you with love every day. Like what? I'm cooking you dinner. I kiss you all the time. I'm listening to what you're telling me. I'm making love to you. You're cooking dinner for our friends and families. You kiss your parents and my parents. You listen to everything your sister tells you. And you made love to Jason. So tell me, what are you doing for me alone? Don't be ridiculous. It's different with you. Is that so? How do I know that? Our loyalty was the only thing we had, and it was meant only for each other. And you gave it up for Jason. Now there is nothing that belongs only to us. It's not true. We have our love. I don't like Jason. I don't love anyone the way I love you. But you can't prove it to me. And the way you just unceremoniously brushed off our promises to each other says that I can't trust you in my heart. So we're done. No. Stop saying that. You don't understand. I think we've come as far as we can together now, Joanna said softly but definitely. I'd like to spend the rest of today's session alone with Patrick. Can you come back at 4 on Thursday, Marlene? This is our next session, and then we'll have an hour to work together. Marlene left, sobbing. It was very awkward for me to be alone with a therapist. Is there any way you can refuse a divorce? No. It's pretty definite. So there are no mitigating circumstances? If she had been drugged with illegal substances, it would have been a completely different matter. I'd give her everything I had and then kill the bastard who did it. One drunken slip-up? I do not know if I could have forgiven it, but at least maybe there would have been a way back. But this? She deliberately decided to make love to Jason for 3 weeks, spending nights in his bed as if she were his wife. This is such a massive betrayal that I will never get over it. So she could have just been making love to Jason. She could still only make love to you. How can you tell the difference? I don't know. Can you tell the difference? I can't. I know my own feelings, but I don't know yours or anyone else's except from what I see. I paused. Do you know how to determine how important obligations are for someone? Tell me. It all depends on what you have to sacrifice to fulfill them. Monogamy is really hard. Having one partner for 50 or 60 years, giving up all the others, is hard. There is boredom, misunderstanding, malaise, moods, conflicts, and all sorts of other things that can tempt you. Therefore, when you decide to sacrifice intimacy with everyone else in the world, you demonstrate how devoted you are to your partner. In my opinion, this is how you find out if someone loves you the way a partner should. They are ready to make huge sacrifices day after day to show you that they love you. When she made the decision to make love to Jason, Marlene showed me that she was not ready to make such a sacrifice. And there's nothing more she can sacrifice to make up for it. If I had stayed married to her, I would have had to defend myself against this kind of betrayal every day. And this is not a marriage I want to participate in. So there's no chance? Not a single one. Do you believe that people can make mistakes? That one act does not define a person? Yes. But a mistake is a one-time blunder. A non-repetitive action. There is no turning back from this. Then I'll have to prepare Marlene for the divorce. There is no reason to waste time if you are not ready for reconciliation. It was a pleasant surprise. So I'm not needed here on Thursday? No, you don't need it. She's devastated, and your presence here would just turn the knife. I understand your feelings and I see how strong they are. But if you change your mind, I'll be happy to work with you again, either with one or with Marlene. Thanks, but I won't change my mind. I haven't changed my mind. Marlene was inconsolable whenever I saw her. I stopped going to meetings with our lawyers because she started crying as soon as she saw me. I didn't like seeing her hurt, but I suffered too. I was furious for the first few weeks, but I was also numb. When I got my own small apartment and plunged into a new routine, returning home seemed so exhausting to me that I stayed at work as late as I could. My work has never been so effective, and my colleagues were furious that they looked worse because of my extensive documentation. I really missed Marlene. Her absence was felt intuitively, and I got used to the cramp that gripped my heart. I was lying in bed wondering if I had made the right choice. I missed her because I really loved her so much. She was kind, generous, and smart, and she made me laugh all the time. She was playful and sincere in bed, but she accidentally decided to use my friend, and I just knew that I would never be able to fully trust her to protect my heart again. She didn't love me, at least not in the way I needed to. Call me insecure, call me stubborn, but marriage should be a safe haven. It should dissipate stress, not concentrate it. And the realization that she was making love to Jason, fully aware of it, caused me a lot of stress. The year following our divorce was difficult for me. Marlene may have been inconsolable, but I also felt crushed. I hardly went out, despite the efforts of friends and colleagues. I hardly saw my family. They were so reluctant to condemn Marlene's actions that I could only take them in small doses. And I'm not sure they haven't seen Marlene more often than they've seen me. So I mostly sat in my apartment, watched sports, and went to internet sites when the tension became too strong to cope with it without discharging. I got a different kind of release when Jason tracked me down, I think to apologize. He was waiting for me when I came home late from work, so there was no one around. "Hey, buddy, I want to clarify the situation." That was all he had time to say before my fist touched his ear. We're about the same height, and neither of us had much experience in fights, but I had rage on my side. I was washing the sidewalk with it. He left the city with 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and a swollen jaw, as well as several bruises all over his body. I may have hit him with my knee, but it wasn't a clean blow. After that, I made a couple of quiet trips to St. Louis. Jason has always been a car lover. He was unlucky that his M3 was completely smashed when he was at the bar watching football on Monday night. All the windows and mirrors were smashed. The paint was deeply knocked out from bow to stern. The body was badly dented, the tires were cut, and the interior was spray-painted bright red. His insurance covered most of the damage, and he used the payout to buy a used Porsche Cayman. Unfortunately for him, about 4 months later, someone broke the driver's side window and threw a Molotov cocktail at him when the car alarm went off. It was very expensive for him to get insured again. No one was looking for me, but even if they were, my credit cards had receipts from bars near my apartment. As for revenge, it probably wasn't enough. It was too modest a satisfaction, but prison didn't appeal to me. In the end, Jason had to live by being the asshole he was. I haven't seen Marlene since the divorce, and I haven't allowed anyone to tell me about her. She hurt me deeply. However, I hoped that she had found someone with whom she could share her life. We had a lot in common, but it turned out that there was one huge gap in the way we thought about marriage. When I started dating again, I expected to be let down, so I didn't risk my heart at all. I have disappointed more than one woman. I finally realized that I was destined to be alone if I didn't have the courage to trust someone again. Therefore, I decided to show good intentions and talk about my experience with Marlene and my expectations from any relationship. I also needed to get back in shape, so I joined a mountain bike club on weekends. My first day with them turned out to be the first day for Prisha, too. She was tall and slender, with long and thick black hair. We were quite far behind the others, so we spent most of the trip together, talking when we caught our breath. She was lively and quick-witted, and I laughed a lot. When we loaded our bikes at the end of the trip, I wasn't moving very fast, and she seemed to be slow too. "I know it's at the last minute," I said, my heart beating too fast. "But if you're free tonight, do you want to go out to dinner?" Her smile was dazzling. "Yes, I would like that." "What did you mean by that?" "Something casual." "What is your favorite food?" "Italian." "Isn't that what everyone loves?" "It's important that I love you too." We exchanged contact information and went home to clean up. I picked her up at 6, and we had a very pleasant, low-key evening. I got a nice hug and a quick kiss, and it was even more than I expected, so I sailed home a happy man. After that, we met regularly. I was honest when I told you about the breakup with Marlene. I found out that she had a relationship twice that soured because of infidelity, so we were both a little reserved. We haven't been physically close for 4 months. If we're going to take this step, I have to be the one for you. And you will be the only one for me. Prisha smiled. Exclusive. I like the sound of that. She was an active lover, temperamental and loud. We moved in together 4 months later. Prisha was warm, generous, and down-to-earth. I was direct and honest. It was organized, but flexible enough, and I understood the direction well. We were very compatible, but at the same time different, so that everything would remain interesting. In addition to cycling and Italian food, we both loved action movies. However, I did not understand her fondness for quilting, and my passion for curling also confused her. We both watched Dancing with the Stars, but I was attracted to athletes, and she liked actresses. I've worked hard to be clear about what I'm thinking at every step. Prisha reciprocated. We've never had any explosions. Disagreements were resolved long before they became a problem. We became so close because we could trust each other 100%. No secrets meant no barriers, and trust flourished. Sometimes I found myself wishing that I had communicated better when I was married to Marlene, one of my distant regrets. Marlene may have doomed our marriage, but I wasn't without guilt either. I just assumed that we share the same expectations about monogamy. She probably thought so too. We caught each other off guard, and I wonder if we could have avoided this whole unpleasant story if we had talked in advance. But we didn't, so we hurt each other, and we both have to live with it in the future. This experience has made me, I think, a much better partner for Prisha, and that eventually led us down the aisle and into a completely satisfying marriage. Our son Siddharth, we call him Sid, was born 3 years after we got married, and his daughter Fayed followed him almost 2 years later. The Indian-Irish mashup is not common, so we are pretty much unique. And rule number one is that nothing can be more important than loyalty.